What's up guys, it's Josh from Bonsai-En, and today we're going to be taking a look at how to create pads on your Juniper Bonsai, so stick around. Alright, so as you can see we've got our juniper branch here. This was cut off one of my personal trees. It was a branch that was causing issues to the branches underneath it, so it had to go. It was shading out other branches, but this branch was really only grown just to help thicken the tree, and it's no longer needed. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to show you guys how to, start developing your pads, do a bit of wiring, do a little bit of pruning on this branch before I throw it out. So first of all, we'll have a look at the underside of the branch here, okay? So as you can see, we've got, our opposite growth from each other right here, and this kind of goes up the tree, and then we've got what would have been the new leader out this side, and we've also got a branch out this side. So if this branch was still on the tree, how would we go about making this into a pad, and what would the steps, be that we would take? So the first thing that we would obviously do, like always, is we would clean up this branch. Okay, so all our crotch growth, all the stuff in between, and what that does, like I've explained before, is when we go to wire out onto a branch, it just makes it a lot easier for us to get the wire on here. So I'm going to show you this stuff, with the branch a little bit upside down here, just because it's easier for you guys to see like this. Even though when you're working on a branch, you're going to be looking at this view over the top. But if I show you in here, it'll just be a lot clearer for you guys to see. So, like always, I've said that when we're cleaning out the interiors of a juniper, the first, 10 to 15 mil or whatever on a branch, we will clean off. So as you can see here, we've got this growth just here, and it's coming right out of the crutch here between where the main branch is and our secondary branch is. Now we're not going to use this piece of growth, and as you can see, it comes right over the shoulder where we're going to want to bring our wire. So we're just going to snip that off and get rid of it. We've also got this little bit of growth here, not much use to us, so we'll get rid of that. And already you can see that how much that's cleaned up just there. Now there is a little bit of growth on the other side of this here, so let me just get rid of that, which is what you would have seen from the top side. Now another thing that we do with our junipers is along the bottom side, we get rid of anything that's growing along the bottom, growing down, okay? So remember, we're looking at the bottom side of the branch here. So anything that's growing downwards, we would get rid of that. So we get rid of that, all of that, get rid of that, that. And as you can see, already, we've fully just opened this up. You can actually see where that branch is now. And then we come into our crutch here, get rid of this growth, and now we can come out onto the branch with our wire nice and easy without any growth in our way. And we kind of repeat this step the whole way across the branch, okay? So we'll get rid of this growth off the crotch here. And this branch is actually a really good example of, I cut this branch off the tree. I'm probably going to get rid of that whole thing just there. I cut this branch off the tree probably about a week ago now, and you can still see how green and healthy this branch is. So you can imagine if your juniper's dying and it still looks nice and healthy like this, very soft growth, and this hasn't even got any nutrient or water supply, it's just living off of what is currently in this branch alone. So we'll continue up here and just get rid of some of the stuff we don't need. And also you can see in here all the stuff that's in the interior that's been shaded out that doesn't, look as healthy. That's another reason why we get rid of a lot of this stuff in here. Alrighty. Get rid of that. That. So a lot of this stuff I'm probably going to cut off anyway, but I'm just doing this just as a demonstration for you guys, just so you can clearly see some of the stuff that, you know, I've been talking about. Now, as you can see, we've fully cleaned that out. It's going to be much easier to wire now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the branch over and just have a look from the top, because this is how I would usually work on a tree. And I don't want to cut off anything yet that I might actually use in the design. So I'm just going to go through and clean out underneath this little branch here, because there are some little smaller secondary branches under there. So, you know, you never know what you might use. So keep it until you decide that you really don't need it, and then get rid of it. I'll get rid of that just there. And let me know too, guys, if you like this format of video that I'm doing right now. It's basically just I'd call it a talking hand video. So you can see me working, but you can't actually see me. But I think this is a good way to show you guys what we're doing with our juniper branches here. Now that we've gone through and cleaned it up, I'm going to flip the branch back over so we can have a look here. Alright, get rid of some of this stuff, get rid of all this growth under here so you can see a bit better. Alright, so now you can see a bit better what the structure of our branch is underneath here. Now what we need to do is go through and make some decisions on what we might keep and what we might not keep. Okay, so when we're looking at what we're going to keep and what we're not going to keep, I can already see that, you know, we've got this big new leader out here, so I would probably prefer to keep this smaller guy just here. So straight away I'm probably going to eliminate this guy. So if I was to eliminate this guy, I would probably keep this one. So we've got this one, and then this one, okay? And you could probably even grow this out. And then anything that's on top I like to keep for now that's growing on top, because that might fill in our body. But as you can see, if we get rid of this branch, we can actually bring this branch in and bend it around, and that'll give us more of a compact pad where this is going to really, you know, drag right out. But I mean, that depends on the design you're going for. So if this was a cascade tree, you might actually be able to create a pad. Oop, let me get that back in focus for you. You might be able to create a pad with this, okay, and then with this bottom one, if I was to turn this sideways, you might be able to actually bend this down like that and maybe out, and then create a new pad lower, okay? I know that was a little bit out of focus just because I was getting closer to the camera that's above me here, but it still gives you the idea of, you know, what we're kind of going for. So the first thing I would do here is get my branch cutters and actually cut this guy off here. Now I'm going to do this as if I'm working on the tree from the front, because I want to make a nice cut. So let me just look at what I got here. So I would leave a little bit of a stub for now, okay, just in case we get some dieback. I'm going to cut that guy off. Alright, now this is what we're left with. Okay, we've left a little bit of a stub there, which we can come back and fix this later on. But just in case we get some further dieback, we can let that die back first before we clean it up. So now we've got this as our main one. So this is going to be our next branch here. But I'm not going to get rid of this yet until I have a proper look over top. So let me have a look at what we've got here. So we've got that. And this guy here is probably going to be a bit too much if I'm looking at what I've got here, because this will probably be the body of our pad here, and we can bring this in a little bit. We might be able to use some of that. Okay, so let's just keep it for now. And then what have we got on that side? Now we're not really going to need this guy, so we're going to get rid of that, so I can just use my scissors for that one. So off with that guy. I mean, this is very weak here, and that's not going to do anything for us either, so we're going to get rid of that guy. And now we're probably going to keep this one and get rid of this guy. Alright, so, and then that'll give us our, pad structure. I'm just trying to look at what we've got to work with here before I start, Always make sure you know your decisions before you cut them off, because once you cut them off, you can't go back. And at this point here, it's probably looking a bit, rough for you guys, but by the time we've done them, we've wired some stuff up, it'll look a little bit better. So we might get rid of this guy just here. Alright, so now we've got the basic of what our pad's going to be. Now it looks a little bit rough, what we've got here probably looks a little bit silly. But let's go through and talk about putting some wire on for your pad. Okay, so we'll go upside down again. So what we want to do is, like, bonsai wiring 101, we start with our thicker wiring first, then we move to our secondary wiring, then any tertiary wiring that we want to do. We do it in that order all the time. So we need to decide, are we going to be doing any main structural wiring here? And I'm going to say no, because we're not going to be bending this main structure. Now this here, we could treat this like a secondary at this point, okay? So we could, wire these two here together and then just do this one on its own. And then, well, actually we'll be able to do this and our body branch, which is on top, together. So we know that when we're wiring, we like to try and use one piece of wire for two branches. That way we get a better anchor. These two are similar size, and then this one here and our body branch on top are similar size. So let's go about putting some wire on these now. So I've got my wire here. So what I always do, just a quick wiring tip, is I get the rough length of my branch to the second one, and then I put my finger where that was too, and then I get my rough length up my next one, and then I just add a little bit extra just as an insurance policy. Alrighty, now if we were going to be wiring this on the tree, so we'd be looking at it that way, I would put the wire up underneath the branch, okay? And that's where we would start our wiring, and then we'd come over this branch and we'd go over that one. But for viewing purposes, I'm going to actually do this upside down. I'm going to try and do my best to do it upside down without stuffing anything up. So, roughly, we've got this. So, if I was doing this the right way up, so this would be underneath the tree. So I would bring this around. Alright, so that would anchor that off. Now, let me just look at it this way. Okay, so chances are, if this is on the tree, I would take this branch down, okay? I would wire it down. So in that case, when I'm wiring, I'm actually going to want to bring this over the top of the branch, okay? So if it was this way around, see how that wire comes over the shoulder, okay? Over the top, because we're going to go down with the branch, okay? So, if you can see that there, yep. Over the top, because we're going to be going down with the branch. If we were going up with the branch, we would come underneath the branch, okay? We would have went down under this way. So, Now that we're out there, I'm just going to quickly do the same over here. Alright, so now we've got our good anchor and we've run our wire out onto our 2 branches. We're going to run the wire up the branch, okay? So this is another reason too why it's good. See how we've got all this growth either side of our branch up here. It's good just to go up and make some quick little decisions on, you know, what you might need and what you might not need. So I might do it from this way around, just so I can see it a little bit clearer. So I would probably take that out. Alright, so that just opens that up a little bit more so we can get our wire through. Because I'm just trying to think ahead to where I'm going to make some bends, and some of this will compact back together. So even though it looks like we've got big gaps here now, it will actually compact back together. So those ones should be okay. Get rid of that growth under there. Alright, so we're just going to continue on here. Alright, so what we want to do is try and bring the wire in between our growth. We don't want to actually squash any of our growth. Okay, so up and through there. Try and keep our pitch relatively the same. I know sometimes you might have to shorten or lengthen your pitch just to get around a bit of growth. That's fine. Make sure your wire is tight the whole way around your branch. You don't want any gaps in between your wire. Now I'm going to have to go in front of this bit of growth. Try and keep that in the camera for you guys. It is a little bit awkward to work like this, you know, trying to work, but make sure you guys can see what I'm doing all at the same time. Usually this branch I would have been almost done by now. Alright, so let's continue our wire up here. I might just make the decision to go in front of that one. Hopefully on top here I'm not squashing anything. Alright, so we can get rid of this piece of growth because it's downward growing growth. Same with that. That. Alright, that'll do us on that one for now. So as you can see, we've got our wire on that one. So we'll go over to this branch now. I'm just going to quickly run up the branch and give it a quick little trim. Just noticed that you guys couldn't see what I was doing there. I apologise about that. Alrighty, so let's go through and give this guy a quick wire. Same as the other branch. Come through and try not to squash any of our growth. I'll be a little bit quicker with this one, rather than trying to stop and explain things. Alrighty. So, that's our first one done. So we just got to quickly go through and put some wire on these guys in here. So let me just quickly do another quick clean up in here. so I can see what I got. I'll just quickly nip these bits of wire off as well. Alrighty, so we'll need some smaller wire for our next one. So we've got this branch just here. And that's going to be going to that branch just there. Now this one is fairly close. Alright, so now I've got to think about this again because I'm going from underneath just here. Oh, let me bring that back to you guys again. Sorry that I keep going off the screen there. I keep bringing it towards myself because that's where it's comfortable. Alrighty. Now, this one's going to go up, so we're going to go under the shoulder. Alright, so I'll just quickly run the wire up here. There's not much of a branch here, so it thins out really quickly, so this wire becomes very thick for this branch very quickly. That's all we should need for that. I'll quickly just wire this top one up here and then we'll start doing a little bit of shaping. And usually when I'm, working on an actual tree too, I put a little bit more effort into my cleaning up with the branches before I put my wire on. Alright, so now we've got some wire on there. Let me just clean all this up just here. There we go. Clean again. Do a bit of housekeeping. Alrighty, so here's our branch. This is what it looks like at the moment. So if we were looking at it like this from the front of our tree, that's coming off our tree. First thing I'm going to do is I know that this branch here, that's going to be the very tip of our branch, okay? Let's call it the apex of our branch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back in towards first, okay? That's going to tighten everything up. And then, depending on what the tree is, you might be able to, go down a little bit and then come back out, okay? And then what our goal is here, okay, this is our main line, what we've just done here, how we've compacted that up. But we've got to remember that in this first styling of the branch, we're not going for a completely finished branch right now. This is where people get a little bit confused. So what we're doing is we've just set a bit of a first line. This is our main line. And then, so this guy, little guy here, for example, is on the outside of this curve, so we might be able to grow him on as another branch just here. And then the same with these guys here. And then what we would do is this stuff on the inside just here, see around the inside of this curve, we would come through and we would prune this off. Okay, we get rid of that and we open that gap back up. But we would keep these because they're on the outside of that curve, so we could grow another, we could grow a secondary out here. Okay, and then the same with these guys. So that would be the first bend that we've now made in this pad. Now with this second one, usually what I like to do, and I'll show you underneath here, where a branch leaves, I like to keep this angle just here acute as possible, okay? So the first move that I would make is actually moving this back in towards this branch here, okay? And trying to make this angle just here as acute as possible. And then, as you leave the tree, you can make a bend like that. And see how it looks much nicer with this acute bend here rather than a big obtuse bend. And then if we look back at the start of the tree here, so that's where that bend was in there, okay? So we've come back towards the tree, back out a little bit, okay? And once again, now we've got a decision to make here, okay? So, if we decided that we want this to get a bit thicker, we would keep this, okay? Even though this is not going to be part of our design, I would cut this off just here, okay? So, if you wanted this to thicken up, keep that on and let it run. But if you're happy with this thickness now, you can come in, and I'm going to use my wire cutters here because we've got wire on there. We can come in and just literally snip that off, okay? And now we've got our next little part of our branch just there. Now, the next one we've got is this guy just here. So if we're looking from the front again, okay, I want to do the same thing. The first move I want to make is getting that angle where it leaves the tree nice and acute, okay? And then for this one, because it's going to be closer to the tree, we can just really have this as a body branch, okay? So we can put a little bit of movement in our branch here, but really what we're looking for is to set this body, okay, in here. So really, realistically, I would have that nice and close, put a little bit of movement in it there, bring that back around the front like that, and then I would do some pruning in that area to thin it out. And once again, so like this growth just here on the inside, we're not going to need that. It's going to be useless to the tree. So we would open that up a bit, get rid of that. And now you can see we've opened up in here a little bit, let that light and air in. Get rid of that because we're not going to need that. And then we can make some decisions back here. Get rid of that and that. And that opens us up a little bit in here. So now we've got our body, which is actually growing on top of our pad just here, okay? So this is where it's leaving on top, okay? This is the top. So you'll notice that when I wired this one, I went under the shoulder because with this branch, we're likely going to go up, not down, okay? But really, it's in a good spot where it is right now. It doesn't really need to go any higher. So what I would probably do is just put a little bit of movement in it here like this and just set that in to the middle just there, okay? Oop, I know you can't see that. So that's what we've ended up with just there. Now we've got this little guy just here, which probably should come into that gap just there. Okay, I'm just going to prune off that and that, just to open that up a little bit. Now that we've got that moved into there, we can get rid of that. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of these off the end just here as well, because that's not really going to be part of our branch just here. Alright, I might just remove this whole guy just here too. Alright. So, that's our basic structure of our pad. Now what we're going to do is just kind of come in and we're going to prune a bit of growth off in here. So this is the part now where we want to start looking at doing some pruning. now that we've done the structural set out of our branch, okay? So you can see this one's going to come out here like this. And then we've got this guy just here. And then we've got this one that comes out here like this. And then up here. Now, what I might actually try and do, let me just prune that off there. Prune that off the inside. Usually what I do is when I'm pruning, any growth that's on the inside of a curve, I'll get rid of that because that's really going to be useless to us. But that's basically the start of our pad there, okay? Let me turn that around for you guys. Now it's probably a bit hard for you to see, but once again, if we were happy with the thickness of this guy here, I'm just going to prune the tip of this off, and let me just get my wire cutters here and get rid of that first, and then let me make sure I'm cutting in a good spot. Alright, so I'll prune that off, and that's what we've got for our branch at the moment. And if you look at the side, alright, I know it's a little bit blurry because I can't actually get the branch any further down, but you can see that we've got our silhouette and we've got our body over the top, okay? And then that's what our branch looks like from the front. So we've got our main branch coming out here, then we've got some ones coming off the side. Now, what I might try and do, just to illustrate this point just a little bit further, okay? Now that you've seen what we've got here, I might just try and draw it out for you guys and show you what a future plan for this branch might look like. So let me just move all this stuff aside. Alright, so I'm going to have to try my best here to copy with my pen what the branch is actually doing here. So it comes straight up. We've got one that kind of leaves like that and comes out like that. Then our leader comes out this way, back in like that. And then further down we've got this guy that comes out like that. Alright, so that's roughly the basic structure of our branch here. And remember, again, we're looking underneath. So what we would plan here, like I mentioned before, up here on the outside of our curve, so in here, we would leave any branches in here and trim out any branches in here. So any growth that's in this area in here, we would trim out and we would leave growth there, okay? Same in here. Trim out any growth that's in here, leave growth there. Same here, leave some growth there. And in here, we wouldn't really leave any growth because we want to leave room for growth that we've got coming in here on this part of our branch, okay? We would really trim out any growth that's out here, but we would leave it there. And you can basically see what we're doing. We're leaving the stuff on the outsides of our curves, okay? Now in here, this is a little bit different, okay? Now I should have had this curve a little more dramatic just in here, okay? So that kind of comes around like that. So in here, on this curve here, I haven't left any growth here, as you can see, because that would just fill this area in here. We don't want to fill this area. So we're actually going to go our growth on the outside here and any growth that comes out here. Now, the future plan for this tree, obviously for this guy here, and let me just grab my scissors, just as an example, okay? So this little guy here would be this guy. This guy here, okay, that would be this guy. So I'm just going to get rid of this, okay? This guy here, we don't want him because he's in this area, okay? Same with this one. Let's get rid of that. All right, and probably that as well. So now you can see we've got our growth on the outside of the curve here. And we've got this little guy in here. So these two, I would probably let these both grow and then pick between the best one once you do it. But you've made your decisions there. It's going to be either one of those. And then you've got this guy or this guy. So let both of these grow and then you can choose one at a later date. You don't really have to necessarily make those decisions now. And then we will probably just get rid of this guy. And then we will keep one of these two and then let this guy grow out a bit. Okay? So that's our decisions made here for this branch. And then the same as we move up here, we left these ones here, okay? So also down here, let me just get rid of that. And get rid of that. Okay? So this little guy here, that's him in there. Up here, that's our guys just here. Okay, so once again, you can let both of them grow and then choose one later. And then on the outside of our curve up here, so we're going to get rid of this guy in here. Okay. Get rid of him. So now we've got our guys on the outside just here, which is these, and then our tips obviously out here. And then the same up here, we've already cleaned up in here, which is in here. Then we've left some growth out here. This branch would have need to have grown just a little bit more. So I would keep the tip up here and try and thicken this guy up a little bit more. Because when we talk about our taper, this here, so that's that, where I've circled this, that should be the thickest part of the branch, okay? And then as we move out, it should get thinner and thinner. So this guy here, right, which is this guy, we would have need to have allowed this to elongate, okay, to thicken this area up in here, which is this. Because you can see how much thinner this is compared to that, okay? So this needs to be thicker than that branch. So we would have need to allow this to elongate like that, so we can thicken that up. And then once this gets thicker than that, then we can cut it back and work out our proper taper, okay? And that's true for the whole branch and the whole tree. As we move up a tree, say if this was a tree and not a branch, we would want our trunk down the bottom the thickest, we would want our branches up the top the thinnest. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this guy for a minute, and we're just going to concentrate on this for a moment. So now let's pretend that we've thickened that up nicely. Okay, so our future plan now is we're going to let this guy run, okay? We're going to let this guy run, run. And basically what that's going to do is thicken these up, okay? And then as these thicken, we can actually wire them up as they thicken. So if I bring these back down, okay, to where we were. So let's just pretend for a minute we've still got that elongation, but as we've got that elongation now, we want to come in and we want to wire these guys. Now, same as like I said before, when these leave the branch, we want them to leave at a really acute angle to the branch, okay? So that's going to be true with our secondaries as well. As they leave, we're going to want to wire them in so they leave the branch acutely, okay? And now we could wire this guy out like that. We could wire that out like that. And so on and so forth. Okay, and then this guy would probably come out like that. And then once again, these are going to have a whole bunch of growth on them. If you've seen my juniper branch development video, which you likely have because a lot of people on that one requested to see a real life example of this kind of work. This is how junipers grow. Okay, we're going to have all this growth now that's going to come out. All our needles and such. And then we're going to just basically do the same stuff that I just took you all the way through, okay? And I'll give you a quick example of that now. So that's come out like that. So as we go through, okay, we're probably going to get rid of that, rid of that, rid of that, that, okay, that. And that's probably what we're going to keep there, okay? I know that looks a bit rough how I've been doing that. But once again, as we follow this branch up, we're probably going to get rid of that guy and those two just there, okay? That leaves us that one and that one. As we come back around, we're probably not going to keep this guy because this guy is going to fill in this area here, okay? So we're probably going to get rid of him. We'll keep this one, keep that one, okay? Probably get rid of that, and then that guy would eventually get wired back out that way, okay? So that's how we would do that. And then once again, as you can see, I'm just taking out what's in the middle of the branch, okay, on the inside of our curves, keeping something, you know, on the outside of our curves. Once again, you can see that there. And then for this side, let me just quickly draw this back up like that. And with the ones that we've kept here, it's going to be the same deal, okay? That's how I would probably wire that one. And you know what? I would probably get rid of that altogether. Wire that like that. Wire that like that. And then same up here. Okay? And then you're going to ramify that again, following the exact same methods as we've been doing before. And all in all, while you're doing this, you know, your branch is going to be thickening up like this. And then as it goes up, you know, you're going to get your taper there. And then that's going to thicken. You're going to get your taper. 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 Alright, so that is how we would go about turning this into that. So you can see how this one little branch here, even though right now we've set our main structure, we need to, you know, look ahead to the future. This is going to be this branch just here, this little guy. As it grows out, and we'll wire it. This one in here, we've got this little guy in here, okay? And, you know, you might even be able to draw it out for yourself like this, just so you can get a rough idea of what the future is going to be for your tree. And that's how it's all gonna work out for you. Obviously, this would have been, you know, thicker like that. If you want a better example of how that branch would end up being. And then that one would have thickened out, okay, tapered off. And then same with all these other branches. I won't go through and do all these because I think this was probably enough of an illustration for you guys. But that's what we've got there, and that is kind of the rough and ready on how we would develop a juniper branch out. Okay, it's basically grow, cut back, select, grow, cut back, select, grow, cut back, select, until we end up with our ramified branches like that. Just remember with, you know, junipers, we always want to keep sunlight penetrating into our inner branches to keep them healthy. That's why it's good, you know, also that's why we cut out the, you know, the inside growth. So as you can see, again, we've got a curve here. So we would get rid of this inside growth in here because that's going to stop any of that light from actually penetrating into the tree. If we were to look at it from the front, oh, that's my dodgy wiring there. That's just brought that out like that. So as you can see now, you know, a lot more open in through there. That's going to keep the tree happier and healthier as we move forward. And, you know, see how we've got this guy here? You know, you could grow, either cut this guy back a little bit, okay, once this fills in, or you could grow this out because you don't want the two of these like this. Really, you would want that much shorter and to fill in that body there. Or if you wanted to keep this length on it, you could grow this out some more. That way, the end of your branch ends up out here and then you step back again. Alrighty, so that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know you've been requesting it, so I thought I'd try this new setup out here where I'm able to draw and then also show you a live example. Let me know down in the comments below whether you guys enjoyed this, if you want more stuff like this. Don't forget to head over to www.bonsai-en.com.au. Check out our free forum that we've got over there. Sign up, get yourself an account, join in on the discussions. You can learn some more over there, learn from other people, and also I'm on the forum as well. Over on that same website, we've got our premium blog. It's only $4.99 a month, where you can learn more in-depth articles, which is stuff like this. Also, www.bonsai-en.shop. Head over there, check out our merchandise. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, check out our tools and everything like that. We've got special order Japanese tools that are on there, and we've also got tools that are in stock that are ready to ship straight away. Don't forget to thumbs up, share the video, like it, tell your friends about it, help the channel grow. But until next time, I'm Josh from Bonsai-En. Enjoy your bonsai journey.